Welcome to the Intermediate Game Plan Part 3. If you haven't already done so, I recommend you first go and watch the Beginner Game Plan video, as well as the Intermediate Game Plan Parts 1 and 2. In this video, we're going to go over Phase 3, which is our corner pressure phase. We're also going to go over defense a little bit, as well as some advanced stuff later on. And at the very end of the video, I'm gonna ramble on a bit with my old sage advice one final time. So in our Phase 3 game plan before, I wanted you to stand a little bit back from them. You know, I didn't want you to get too close. And I wanted you to poke at them and whiff punish if they attack, and occasionally shoot a fireball or so if your character has that. And also always pay attention to anti-air them, be ready for that. So by now, I'm hoping that you've done this enough to where you're starting to get better at it. And I'm also hoping that you've noticed that when you get your opponent in the corner, it gets easier and your chance of winning goes up greatly. Because you're keeping them locked down in the corner, you're basically forcing them to do something risky to get out, and that's how they make mistakes and how you're able to punish them. So now I want to show you a little clip of me versus Flex, you know, the streamer that I recommended before. And I like the way that he describes corner pressure. So you'll see in this clip, I'm playing as Soras and he's playing as Matera, and I get him into the corner and I don't let him out. I'm doing like the same strategy that I'm trying to teach you. So let's take a look at this clip.
Damn. You do a good job of making me pretty claustrophobic. That's a shame. That's a shame. Yeah, because I was like, all right, I got myself into the corner too quickly, try to get out, anti-air. I'm like, fuck. I was like, that happened these last 2 games, didn't it? I was like, okay, that did happen. I was like, and then I tried to get out and I was struggling. I was like, they're trying to keep me locked in the corner.
And that's exactly what you want to do. Keep your opponent locked down in the corner. It'll make them feel claustrophobic, and they'll do something risky, which gives you a chance to punish it. Next, I want to go over the types of combos. There's basically 2 flavors of combos. There's combos for damage and combos for utility. Now, the damage ones are kind of self-explanatory. You usually use these when you want to finish off your opponent. So if you get them stuck in that last combo, you'll try to pump out as much damage into it as possible to make sure that they die. Utility combos are where you kind of sacrifice doing so much damage in order to end your combo in a way that puts you in a good position for the next interaction you get with your opponent. It'll give you a chance to perform a mix-up on you. Now, there are a lot of ways to mix up your opponent, but I'm going to go over some of the more common ones. First, the strike-throw mix-up. Now, this is the basic mix-up that every character pretty much has access to. Your opponent doesn't know if you're going to attack them or if you're going to throw them. Next is the high-low mix-up. Now, the high-low mix-up is where you have to block standing or crouching. And some characters, particularly Grimnir, have a really nasty high-low mix-up. As you can see here, I went high the first time, and now this time I'm going to go low. Very nasty stuff. And lastly is a right and left mix-up. You have to change your block from right to left depending on which side you're hit on, so a right and left mix-up will also open up your opponent. So next I'm going to teach you a technique called a safe jump. A safe jump is where you get a jump and attack on your opponent, and there's nothing you can do about it. You're safe. So let me show you how that works. Now, in this game, there's a couple ways to set up a safe jump, like universal ways that every character should have, I think. One of which is a throw. So if we throw and we hold jump, we'll jump the moment we can after the throw, and it times our jump properly to where we hit him right when he's getting up. So if he were, right now he's blocking, but let's say on wake up, he tries to attack. Let's see what happens. He gets hit. We beat him. Okay, well, we're in the air. What if he tries to anti-air us? Let's see. Now we beat him again. Okay. Well, what if he does one of those invincible reversal moves? Let's try that. We blocked. We're able to block in time. That's why the timing is so strict. It's like perfectly timed. So we land and block before his move comes out. Now here's a little tip. The EX moves are invincible and everything, but the blue ones are even faster. So you always want to test against the blue ones too, just to make sure. Let's see if it works against the blue one. It works against the blue one as well. This is a true safe jump off of a throw, and every character should get this. Sometimes it's off their back throw though. You can also do a safe jump off of a sweep. Same thing. And I believe every character can do that just about. There's probably some that can't. There might be exceptions. But what's unique to Jita, a cool little thing, is you could do a safe jump after her super. We'll wait for her very long animation here. You get a safe jump from that. But when you're in the corner, you have to be careful because it'll actually pop them out of the corner. So just jump straight up, not forward. And it should work doing that. You get a safe jump. So, story time. I wanted to find a combo for Jita that ended in a way that set up a safe jump. But the only one I could find online was one that involved a tricky micro walk back in the middle of it, and I thought that was a little too hard for these guides, so I went into training mode and I messed around. I ended up figuring out a safe jump combo, but it sucked, so I messed around some more and I found a good one, a very good one, and I'm like, there's no way the Jita mains out there don't already know this. This is a basic combo. This is basically the combo we've always been doing, just slightly different. So I guess I'm just blind or dumb or I don't know what, but I couldn't find it anywhere online. Maybe those Jita mains are keeping it to themselves. I don't know. But anyway. So here's the combo. Now you're going to notice a couple things. One is I wrote it in my lazy notation. It's just easy for me to read. And two, it's pretty much the same combo I taught you last time, except instead of a close medium with a medium DP at the end, it's 3 close heavies into EX DP. And that's the part that you're going to have trouble with. Those 3 close heavies have to come very quickly after the EX Fireball. So let me show you what the combo looks like. And that's what the combo looks like. Now, if you attack your opponent again after he does that unsafe, DP, you block it, and you're able to just get the combo again, and you can go right back into everything. So I went ahead and I made a little sequence where you kind of repeat the combo a few times, but you have to make little changes. Let me put it on screen now so you can see. Now the second time you do the combo, the second line, you'll see that I end in Skybound Art. You'll see that before that there's only 2 close heavies. You have to kind of let them fall a little bit to time those 2 close heavies for the Skybound Art to work. But if that's too hard for you, just do 1 close heavy. It'll be a lot easier, and you don't really have to do any timing. The only thing that'll change is how much meter you gain, because you want to make sure you have enough, meter to use the Skybound Art. But to be honest, if you start with anything more than 4% meter, you'll have enough. So let me try showing you. Let's set everything to not recover and all that. And I'm gonna put this down and we'll start at 10. It's good enough. And skill cooldown default. and we want their HP not to fill back up. So we could see that this will kill them. And just like that, you can kill them with just those 3 combos. This is the last combo. You can kind of do whatever you want. Your DP will be off cooldown, but it kind of doesn't matter what you do. You'll kill them before that, unless they have more HP. Characters have different amounts of HP in this game by a little bit. But yeah, there's the sequence. Those are the combos you can do. They end with safe jumps. This will work if they just get hit. You know, they don't have to do a big move that you block. If they just get hit from your jumping attack, you could just do a combo on them as well, and it'll work in a match. So there you go. The only thing that'll give you trouble is if they block it. If they block it, then what are you supposed to do? Well, that's why fighting games have throws. Throws beat blocks. But it's not easy to just throw someone. When you're trying to walk up and throw someone, they can just hit you out of it, right? So we need to find a way to teach our opponent to not press buttons. We need to condition them to not want to press a button. So how do we do that? Well, that brings us into our next section. Have you ever gone against an opponent who just always seems to know when to attack you out of everything? Like, no matter what you try, they hit you right out of it. You might want to walk forward to apply your pressure, but you get hit before. Or maybe in between attacks, you still manage to get hit. And of course that goes for trying to walk up and throw. You don't even get close before they're hitting you. Well, what they're doing is called mashing. And it's when you're attacking constantly, basically. They're pressing the buttons a lot. And the reason why they're doing this is because at lower ranks, this tends to work because people don't know how to punish it. So let's try to find a way to punish it. But in order to do so, we first need to understand why they're doing it. And to understand that, I need to go over block strings again. Now, you already know what they are. They're basically doing a combo on your opponent's block. But there's different types of block strings. One of which is called a true block string. That means it has no gaps in it whatsoever. So if you were to do this block string against an opponent who's pressing the buttons constantly, none of their buttons would come out. In fact, if you did this block string against your friend sitting next to you while you're playing together, and they set the controller down, their character will still continue to block every hit in the block string. Because they're stuck in block stun, so that's just how it works. So the only time their attacks will come out is if you either mess up the block string at some point in which their attack comes out and you get hit, or once the block string ends, which it's most likely going to be their turn anyway. That's why it's such a low-risk thing to do for them. Knowing that, we now can start to understand why they're mashing buttons. And because we understand why, we can come up with a way to get them to stop. They're mashing because it's low risk for them. So what we need to do is add a little risk. Instead of performing a true block string, we instead will purposely leave a little gap in it. Now you might be thinking that sounds kind of risky for us, because if we leave a gap, they can attack us. Well, that's why this is such a great technique. We're going to leave a gap big enough for their attack to start, but it's not big enough for their attack to finish. We're going to trap them by giving them an opportunity to attack, but that attack cannot connect. So what we're going to learn is called a frame trap. And a frame trap is where we leave a gap, but they still can't hit us. So let me show you what that looks like. We're going to set our opponent on block to retaliate with standing light. And watch what happens to him. I got a counter hit. He tried to attack, but the gap wasn't big enough. Now let's learn how to do that. I'll turn that off. The way you do that is you press light, then heavy. But you gotta do it slow. If you do it too quick, you're gonna get the second hit of the auto combo. I know it's hard to tell because the animations are similar, but this is the auto combo. Do it real slow. When you learn things that require ingraining them into your muscle memory, I recommend you always start slow and do the inputs correctly, then speed it up over time. So light, heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy. Now that might be fast enough. Once you're ready, you turn it back to doing the standing L, and then you try it. And if you get that big boom like that, that means you did it with the correct timing. Now what's nice about this is that you can just tack on any combo you want. So if you just keep pressing the heavy after it hits, it'll keep doing attacks and then you do whatever combo. So watch this. You go into like EX Rekka, whatever you want to do. And all of that you got just because they didn't want to block, basically. So let's set this to not recover. And let's see how much damage he can actually take. And a safe jump. But look at all that damage that he took at the top there. That's just because he didn't want to block. So make sure you block. Blocking saves lives. So I want you to do frame traps on them whenever you get the chance. And if they keep falling for it, then you just keep getting the frame traps on them. But let's say they stop falling for it, and instead they just block. Well, that's when we do phase 2. Phase 2 is where we attack, and then we take a step forward and throw. That's kind of our way of telling them, we know you're gonna block, but blocking isn't gonna work there either. And now they really don't know what we're gonna do. Are we going to continue attacking, or are we gonna stop and throw them? It's hard to tell, because it's really quick. So when you do this, I recommend you only throw them once. Like, you do the frame trap a lot, and then when you decide to actually throw them, you go right back to doing the frame trap. Because the frame trap isn't as risky for us as the throw is. With the throw, there's ways they could get out of it and punish us. But the frame trap, the only way they can really punish us is if they do something invincible. So if they do this, this will beat our frame trap. But that's kind of risky for them. So it's not that big of a deal. The throw, they could jump it and attack us, or backdash it and attack us, or do a whole bunch of things. They could just attack and it will beat our throw. So you do the frame trap first. And if they fall for it, then you keep doing it. Once they stop falling for it and they block, then you think, oh, they're blocking it. Are they truly blocking it? Let's try one more time. Okay, it seems like they know to block it now. Now, it's safe to go for the throw. But then after you do so, go right back to the frame trap. That's how I recommend you play this frame trap game. And don't forget to add in your safe jumps. If you do the combo correctly, not like me. And you get the safe jump after the throw. Another thing that's interesting is if they try to tech the throw and you do the frame trap will win. See? Great. So now let's put what we've learned into a triangle. And now I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say this doesn't look much like a triangle. Well, you're wrong. Anyway, so frame traps beat attacking. Attacking beats throws. Throws beat blocking, and blocking beats frame traps. There's our triangle. Now, there's actually something missing here. One of these 4 things beats one of these other 4 things. Do you know which ones? I said it earlier. Do you remember? Frame traps beat throws. But that's not all. There's actually one more thing we can add to this. Invincible moves beat frame traps, but they lose to blocking. So as you can see, there's actually 3 little triangles here. See, you thought it was a square, but it's not. It actually kind of looks like a little house, doesn't it? I'm going to teach you another type of trap really quick. This one is called a spacing trap. In frame traps, we're manipulating time. We control the amount of frames that we give our opponent to work with. But in spacing traps, we're manipulating distance. We control the amount of pixels away that we are from our opponent. So I have him set to where he retaliates with standing medium attack. And if you'll notice, if I just do this and stand here, he can't hit me because of the pushback. So this is an automatically spaced spacing trap. I can just attack again, and I'll get him every time. So next I want to go into defense a little bit. Now unfortunately, defense is probably the hardest part to learn in fighting games, in my opinion, because it requires knowledge. You need to know what the other character is capable of, and you need to understand and be able to identify how your opponent is playing. So it's one of those things that will just keep getting better the longer you play, but it's kind of rough in the beginning. That's why people gravitate towards more aggressive Unga Bunga styles of playing, because it's easier at first. So let's go over some general stuff though. Blocking. Now I said it plenty of times, but blocking is very good in fighting games, especially on wake up. I recommend that whenever you wake up, your default action is to down back block, because it's generally a safe thing to do. In this game, there's some throw invulnerability when you first wake up, so they can't throw you right away. So down back block is pretty safe to do. Air blocking, you can also block in the air. Pretty much every time you jump, you want to block as you're jumping, because I know I mentioned it during the safe jumps, but you pretty much want to do it every time you jump. The things that you can and can't block basically goes like this. If the opponent's feet are touching the ground and they attack, you usually cannot block that. But things like projectiles or stuff that's not touching the ground, you usually can block those things. And if they do any aerial attacks, you could block that. Now, there are exceptions. Even something like if somebody has a DP, and let's say the medium DP, like Jita's, you could block that in the air, but you cannot block her EX DP in the air. And what's goofy with Anila is her medium DP, she's still standing on the ground, so you actually can't block that. But her light DP, you can. So it's one of those things you'll learn over time. There's also a block button in the game. The block button is very good because it blocks both left and right mix-ups at the same time. If somebody tries to cross you up, I don't think I've gone over it yet, but a cross-up is where something hits you on the opposite side. It's a mix-up. And I know I talked about left-right mix-ups, but the term is called a cross-up. And if your character can jump over someone's head and hit them on the other side, people might refer to that attack as a cross-up. Jita has 2. Her jumping medium and her jumping unique can both hit on the other side. Those are her cross-up attacks. And the block button blocks both left and right. Not up and down though. You still have to either stand or crouch block for highs and lows. There's also a roll and a spot dodge. Now, the roll, it can't go through things that hit you low in your character's sprite or model or whatever you want to call it. Basically, not low attacks, but attacks that hit you low, that look like they hit you low. You usually can't roll through. So, Siegfried's fireball is an example of this. You cannot roll through his fireball, but you can spot dodge it. It's very hard to spot dodge the medium one though, because it's very slow, but you can do it. But you can't roll through it. Brave counter. Now, I haven't really gone over it much, but those 3 diamonds above your health bar are, they're called brave points, although everyone calls them diamonds. And you spend those to press the Raging Strike button. That button will do one of 3 things depending on the situation. It'll either do Raging Strike or Raging Chain, we'll talk about those later, or it'll do Brave Counter. The Brave Counter comes out if you're in block stun. So if you're blocking your opponent's attack and you press that button, it's gonna knock them off of you. It's a get off me tool, but it costs 1 of your diamonds. Now you need to be careful, because it's nice to get them off of you, and for some mix-up, this is how you get out of a mix-up for some characters, but it costs a diamond, and when you're down to 1 diamond left, you take 20% extra damage, and when you're down to no diamonds left, you take 50% extra damage. So be careful how you spend it. Use it sparingly, but it's a strong tool, because even if they know you're gonna Brave Counter and they block it, you're still plus, unless they change this. This is one of those things they might change in the future, but as of right now, it's always your turn, no matter what happens after you Brave Counter, pretty much. There's also a backdash. Backdashing is good to get away from attacks, of course, but you can also use it in the corner if you think they're gonna throw you. You can't be thrown while you're backdashing, and it recovers quicker than if you tried to jump a throw. So it recovers fast enough to where you could punish them. I don't know exactly how often this will come into play though, so this is something you can put to learn for later. Just know it exists. And speaking about evading throws, you don't have to tech with the throw button, or in my case I use 2 buttons to throw. You don't have to press that to tech. You can actually tech with any of the attack buttons if you wanted to. When you tech properly with the throw button, there'll be a white flash and both characters get split apart back to neutral. No one's at an advantage. But when you tech with one of the other buttons, it will make you, it does like a red flash, and it'll make you fall on your ass and you're negative. They're plus, it's still their turn. And you also take a little bit of damage. The trade-off is if they try to bait out a throw tech attempt by you so that they can punish you, and instead you try to tech with an attack, your attack will come out and it might hit them or it'll hit them on block or something like that. So it could be safer in some situations. That's why. And finally, there's also a super jump. You press down then up to do a super jump. This I feel is pretty useful for getting out of the corner. If you're being pressured in the corner and you don't know how to get out, you could do a super jump over their head and they might not be able to anti-air you, and that's just kind of one way to get out. Next, we're going into the advanced section. This section has things that you don't really need to learn until you're comfortable with the rest of the guide, but it's good to know these things exist in case your opponent does them against you. The first thing we're going to look at is called option selects. And an option select is where you basically do 2 things at once, but only one of them will get selected, only one comes out. We've already gone over a couple instances of this, one of which is buffering. We're essentially either doing a poke and we're also doing like a mini combo at the same time, but only one comes out. Either the poke comes out if we whiff, or the mini combo comes out if we hit them. Safe jumps are another example of option selects, where we're able to attack and block at the same time. So the option select I want to teach you now is called delay teching. Now, delay teching is not as important in this game as it is in other games in my opinion, but it's still good to know that it exists. It's where you can block and tech a throw at the same time. To do it, you basically block, and then after a split second goes by, you press the throw tech button. What happens is if your opponent tries to attack you, the attack will come out quicker, so you'll block it, and you'll be in hit stun, so your throw tech won't come out. But if they don't attack you and they do the throw, that takes longer, so you'll be able to press the tech before the throw tech window ends. Because this game has throw invulnerability on Wake Up, you don't need to use it on Wake Up like you do in other fighting games, but you could still use it here or there. I actually have somebody ask me once, they were like, "How are you always able to tech all of my throws?" And I told them it's because I delay tech a lot. And there's actually a huge downside to delay teching. It's a big weakness, and if your opponent knows you're doing it, they can exploit it with this next technique, the shimmy. Shimmying someone is when you trick them into trying to tech a throw, and then you punish them for it. Sometimes that involves you walk up to them, they think you're gonna throw them, so they tech, but instead you walk back, and they whiff, and you punish it. Now there are many ways to shimmy your opponent. Sometimes you can walk up and then just stop, and they might whiff, or you might even just stand there for too long and they press it out of reaction and can't help themselves. There's a lot of different ways to shimmy someone. Next, I'm gonna teach you my absolute favorite technique in this game. It's called the empty jump low. Now, an empty jump is just when you jump at your opponent but you don't press any attack buttons. It's an empty jump. And the low is right when you land, you go for a low attack. This is very, very hard to block because they think you're gonna attack in the air, so they wanna block high, but then you don't hit them. So there's no like screen freeze. Normally when you get hit or you block, the screen freezes for a second. So because that doesn't happen, it sets off their timing and you land and you're able to get a low. And something funny is the two clips I put of my gameplay both include empty jump lows just by chance. In the one against Flex, I did an empty jump low. And in the video from last time where I was talking about if you submit your replays for people to critique, I did an empty jump low there as well, just by chance, but it goes to show I do them a lot. So next, let's look at Raging Strike and Raging Chain. Raging Strike is both a block breaker as well as a combo extender. It costs 1 diamond to use Raging Strike, and if you hit them while they're blocking, it will delete one of their diamonds as well as go into this like cinematic slowdown. During this slowdown, you both have a couple options. If you decide to continue, you can do a Raging Chain by pressing the same button again. It costs 25% meter, and it allows you to follow up to get a big combo on them. If they don't want you to get a combo, they can press the button, spending another diamond, and it'll knock you off of them as though they did a Brave counter. No matter what the outcome, it's pretty much good for you because either you get to do a big combo on them or they lose 2 diamonds. Raging Strike can also be used as a combo extender. I can do a simple little combo with Sora's here, and it's fine. It only does 2,000 damage though, and it doesn't knock them very far. But instead, if I were to extend it with a Raging Strike, you could see it's knocking them way further, and it ends up doing almost 5,000 damage. And look at that, they made it all the way to the other corner. And that's the end of the guide. Here's a little cheat sheet that I made to show you where all the stuff is in each video in case you need to go back and learn specific things. It doesn't have everything, I couldn't fit everything on it, but it's got most things. You can print screen it if you want to save it. And I know I started kind of quickly firing off a lot of different things at the end there with the defense section and the advanced section, but I really wanted to get these things in the video, and I didn't want this to be even longer than it already is. So the rest of this video is just me rambling on and giving my opinions and advice and stuff like that. So if you're not interested in that sort of thing, you could stop watching now. This is the end of the guide. But for those of you who want to stay, let's just get into it. Learning fighting games is incredibly hard. You really have to put yourself out of your comfort zone in order to learn them. But at the same time, you don't want to turn them into like a chore or a job or something. Just play them and have fun. That's all you really need to do. The longer you play, the better you'll get without even thinking about it. The guides that I've provided you with are just there for supplemental help. I'm just trying to point you in the right direction. But all the playing has to be done by you. Putting hours and hours into playing will make you a hell of a lot better than just watching guides or reading articles or, grinding combos in training mode. Unless, of course, you like that sort of thing, like grinding out combos and stuff. Actually, you know what? Story time number 2. Many, many years ago, there was this small fighting game called BlockString Central Fiction. Back then, my friends had it, and they wanted me to play against them, so we were going to play the next day online against each other. And I never played this game before. This was back when I was first starting to actually get into fighting games for real. So, I needed to pick a character. So I looked up a list of some of the easier characters to play, and amongst them, I chose the one I thought was coolest. and I ended up coming across one of the coolest fighting game characters ever, Celica. Celica is sick. And one of the cool things about her is that she has what are known as loops in her combos. Now, loops are when you perform like a special move over and over in a combo, and I love that so much. I'm a sucker for loops. So, the loop that she can perform is Minerva, the robot girl that protects her or whatever. I don't know the lore. BlazeBlue fans, don't come at me. She turns into a jet, of course, and she flies back and forth, spewing flames, dragging the opponent as she flies by. And you can loop multiple of these in a combo. So I needed to learn a combo with them. So I came across a basic combo, it was called, an easy one, with 2 backfire loops in it. And I sat and practiced it, and it took me 3 hours of constant practice, no breaks, just to do it once. Let's take a look at it. And what's funny is, in order to get this clip, I had to learn it again. And I'm practically learning it from scratch, brand new, because I used to play on a fight stick, and now I'm playing on a PS4 controller, and it's been years since I did this combo. So, to learn it now, because I have way more experience, it took about 10 to 15 minutes for me to practically master the combo. So it just goes to show you that grinding out the combo didn't make me better. I actually lost every single game I played against my friends because I didn't know how to play fighting games. I just knew how to do one cool combo. And I was able to do some that had lots of backfire loops in them, and they thought it was really cool, but then I just lost every set. So it doesn't really matter what you're doing, as long as you're having fun is kind of what I'm trying to say here. But you're also going to have a lot of struggles against playing other people online, because you're going to notice they're just going to mash buttons and they're just going to spam special moves, and it's going to be really hard to deal with them while you're trying to learn the game, quote, the right way. You know what I mean? Don't worry too much about this. This happens to all of us. What you're doing right now is you're basically putting on the Piccolo clothes. You know, in Dragon Ball when he wears the like weighted clothes and it makes everything harder for him, but then once he takes them off, he's way better. That's pretty much what you're doing right now. So things are going to be harder for you at first, but eventually everything starts to click, you start getting better and better, and it will pay off. You'll end up surpassing all the people that don't really want to learn fundamentals and stuff, and you'll start getting more out of the game, in my opinion. Just make sure to keep a positive mindset about things. Try not to get too frustrated over moves characters have or the way people are playing or mechanics in the game. If you let that eat away at you, you're just going to turn into a whiny, bitter baby like a bunch of people do, and you'll post stuff online and people will make fun of you for it, and you don't want that. Just have fun. It's a game. It's not to be taken too seriously. Just enjoy it. And the best way to enjoy it is, as I said before, by having friends to play with. If your IRL friends won't play fighting games with you, then make friends online. There's a ton of people that play fighting games that you could be friends with. And in case you don't know how or where to make friends, I provided you with Flex's stream. And I said, go there. There's where you can make some friends. You'll see me there, and you can make friends with him and whoever else is there. So you have no excuse. Don't be waiting until you get better at the game thinking, oh, well, I gotta reach a certain rank before I can play against other people. It'll be embarrassing if I lose. It doesn't matter. Just go say hello. Be talkative. Type in the chat. Don't just watch and lurk or whatever it's called. Say something. Say hello. I'm here to learn. I'm here to play games. I'm here to make friends. If he's not playing Granblue or whatever game you want to play, ask him, are you going to play Granblue today? Because he rotates through so many different fighting games. You might learn about fighting games that you've never played before and think they're cool and want to try those too. Once you played one fighting game for a while, you're going to want to play more. So I recommend you just go make some friends. But anyways, that's enough rambling out of me. I hope you enjoyed these guides. I hope you learned something for them. That's why I created them. I hope they were understandable. If you didn't understand something, ask me a question. Unfortunately, this is the end of my game plan guide. I'm not going to make an advanced set of videos because, to be honest, I'm not really qualified to do so. So that's pretty much it. I still might create some content for the fighting games in the future. I've been playing a lot of Tekken 8. It just came out. I've been having fun with that. I would actually like to post videos and ask you guys for help because I suck at it and I need to learn it. But if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll be able to create a video on that. I don't know. But with that, thanks for watching. I'll see you around.